Hello and welcome to EV Car Share. So, today I want to talk about, is an EV suitable as a first car? If you've been watching my channel, you'll know that this channel is all about my experiences of having an EV. So how does this fit in with my experiences of having an EV? And in particular, this Kia EV6. Well, it doesn't really fit in with having the Kia EV6 specifically, but it kind of fits in with being a family, me having an EV, and my daughters are now growing up to the point where they're looking at having their own car. So my younger daughter has made the decision she's not going to go to university. She's going to get a degree apprenticeship instead. Instead of getting all the debt, she will be earning money straight away, which is fantastic, great choice. But that means that for her job, and because she now has money and because she wants to, she will be getting herself a car. So she will be buying her first car very shortly, and we've been looking at Auto Trader, and we will be looking at some local dealers in the short term. So thinking about what do you want when you buy your first car, I thought back to when I bought my first car. So my first car, of course, wasn't an EV because I bought it back in 1994, I think, 5, that sort of time. Probably, yeah, one of those years, can't remember exactly. It was an old Renault 9. It had over 100,000 miles on the clock. I only kept it for about 9-10 months before I went to university. And it was high spec when it was originally bought, so it had electric windows. Although when I got it, it had one electric window. The driver's side worked, the passenger side didn't. Which meant that if you're in the passenger side, you were pretty hot sometimes in the summer. Apart from that, everything seemed to work. I kept it for a very short time. Changed some tyres, a drive shaft, and that was it. Sold it for very similar to what I bought it for. I bought it for £250. That was a real kind of run-down sort of car that I only needed for about a year. She's looking a bit further than that. She's got a proper job. She'll have a bit more cash. She's got some in the bank to play with. She could spend a bit more money compared to what I bought back then. But I think about what I did in my car. I drove around town, I drove with my friends to places, go to the cinema, go bowling alley, all these things. All of those things would suit a low-cost, entry-level, second-hand EV like a Renault Zoe or a Volkswagen e-Up, or even kind of one of the Peugeot Ion type cars, which are just really city cars. Or a Leaf or something like that would suit that sort of scenario. But one thing I also did when I had my car that I think back to fondly, we went on a few road trips, me and my friends. So we packed the car with a tent and stuff like that and went out camping, went to the coast. We also hired a cottage between about 12 of us, and we went down to Wales, or across to Wales. So at the time I lived near Lincoln. So Lincoln to Wales, big holiday with us all. And that was great fun. I wouldn't like to think that her choice of a car would restrict that opportunity. Also, at some point soon, she's going to be thinking, I want to move out as well. I want to get a house, I want to get a flat, I want to move in maybe with a friend or something like that, rather than staying at home. Bit of independence, it's kind of natural. So although at home at the moment where we live, she has access to my charge point, she could just charge it in the evenings, no problem. If she moves out and moves into a terrace house or a flat or something that's not got a driveway, then charging at home is not going to be an option. Even if she moves into, she's lucky enough to find somewhere that has a driveway, she's still going to have to pay an extra £1,000 then to have a charge point fitted, unless there's already a charge point, which is probably going to be quite few and far between. So it's looking to me like an EV for her first car is not going to be the sensible option. Now she's very pro EV because she's been in mind. She realizes that not having to stand at a fuel station holding a nozzle and getting yourself all dirty with fuel. And she was mentioned before, she doesn't like filling her car with petrol. So she currently drives my wife's car, which is a petrol Suzuki Swift, and when she needs to, she's on the insurance, she'll borrow it. But she's without being prompted, she's come out with the fact that she doesn't enjoy filling with petrol, and if she could avoid ever doing it by having an EV, obviously, then she'd be perfectly happy to do it. That would be one of the things that she'd go, tick, I'll have that. Also, she sees that it's far cheaper to charge at home an EV than it is to fill up a petrol car at petrol stations if you're doing that sort of routine around town. And I think just the experience of my EV, she's like, yeah, it's not an issue. You can drive an EV. It's easy. But of course, not all EVs are equal. And this Kia EV6 has a range of around 300 miles from you, just over, and it charges at up to 235 kilowatts on a DC rapid charger. You can be charged up on a journey in 15 minutes, up to 80%. Normally, depending on how far down you've gone, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, depending on how much you want to charge. It's not an inconvenience. Whereas if you had something like a Renault Zoe that comes in at around £4,000 second hand, a reasonable one, not a category N or S or whatever, then you can do all the round town stuff, but once you start out on a long journey, if it doesn't have rapid charging, you've got to find an AC charge point for a start. Not all services have them, not all charging hubs have them. If you do find one, it's got to be free and available, because they're not, as I say, as many of them available. And then you're charging at a much lower rate than what you'd be charging on this car. You're looking at okay, a Zoe might take a 22 kilowatt, which is faster than what this would take on AC, but you're still charging on AC. You've still got a lower range in the car, so you have to charge more regularly. I don't think it's really suitable. Now I'm just going to have a quick look on Auto Trader. We're going to see what she could purchase today. If we went via what's on Auto Trader, we're going to go with some of her defining needs for a car. So we're looking at a car around £4,000. She said 3,000, but I think she can stretch to 4,000. I think that's probably where we'll end up when we look at what's available. And we're looking for a car with a reversing camera. That's one that she said is a must. Having had that in the car she's been driving, it's one thing that she said she definitely wants. So fair enough. So I'll put reversing camera into the filter. We'll put 4,000 into the filter, and we'll go with any make and model, and we'll just hit search straight away. And these are all fuel types, all cars, all fuel types. The only filters we've got, and all nationwide as well, the only filters we've gone for are camera, and also we're starting at 4,000. So let me record the screen so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so as per usual with Auto Trader, you tell it you want to start at 4,000, it just gives you in a random order, and you have to sort by low to high. The app is really annoying at times. And then of course you get the ads. So the first one, you sort it by low to high, and the first one's 10,000. You're like, what on earth? But if we scroll down, there you go. So we have a Peugeot 108, 1.2 PureTech, 4,000, 2015, 61,000 miles on the clock, Milton Keynes, not too far away. That looks good. I mean, that would do the job. It's a small hatch. That's probably what she's looking for. Presumably it has a camera, because that's what I searched on. That would do the job quite nicely. That's obviously a petrol. Honda CR-V, too big. C1, Citroen C1, 70,000 miles, so quite high. What was the PureTech 61? So a little bit more mileage. I think that's a bit overpriced, and Auto Trader indeed says fair price on that one. They're quite tinny little cars, the C1. I've driven one before as a courtesy car when I had a Citroen. But again, that one would do the job. That'd be okay. What else we got? Renault Clio, 80,000. So that would be quite nice. I quite like the Renaults, quite like the Clios. 80,000 miles, a bit more again, but I think the Clio is a little bit up in terms of quality than say a Citroen C1. I'm not sure about the 108, the Peugeot. I've never really had much experience, but I'm guessing they're okay. Next one down, now we've got electric. So here we go, the Renault Zoe 22. So let's tap on that one and see what it says. So this is something that she has looked at. She quite likes the Renault Zoe. She likes the look of it. She thinks it's neat. She, as I say, she likes EVs. It's only got 30,000 miles on it. So this is a lot lower mileage than the other three. But we've got 150 miles of range, and that's presumably ideal conditions and from new. So this is now 2015, so it's 10 years old. Will the range be 150 anymore? Even in ideal conditions? Probably not. I mean, you'll get probably 100, 120 maybe at a guess. But it's still, 150 is not a lot if you're going places. If you wanted to do a journey from, let's say she fancied going with her friends up to Scotland, to Edinburgh or somewhere like that, 150 miles is not going to get you very far before you're going to need to charge. And then if we scroll down to the charging times, there is no mention of DC charging because it doesn't have DC charging, presumably. And it says on a fast charge point at 7.4 kilowatts it's going to take 3 hours 30 minutes to get to 100%. A top-up charge of 30 miles will take 42 minutes. I mean, you can't be sitting around for 42 minutes. Can we go faster? No, it doesn't show that we can. Presumably we can. I think these Zoes can do 22. So you can probably say you get 90 miles in that 42 minutes, maybe 100 miles. So yeah, maybe if you find an AC charger that does 22, then you'll be able to recharge the car fully for another 100 miles every hour at an approximation. That's a guess. Don't quote me on that one. What else is there? So Nissan Juke, don't think you want one of those. Some big cars, some more adverts, some leasing adverts, some more adverts. Always loads of adverts on Auto Trader. It's annoying. I know it's a free app, but it's annoying. 208, so that's a little bit better than the 108, a little bit more substantial. 72,000 miles, 2015. So it looks like a car at 4,000. She gets herself a decent car at £4,000. Reasonable mileage, I would say. It's less than 100,000. So you're looking kind of between 50 and 70,000 miles on a petrol. 2015 Mondeo, Mercedes C-Class. Of course, the other thing she needs is a car that she'll be able to insure, that she'll be able to afford to insure. Not just something, you can't just buy anything, can you, when you're 18, 19, that sort of age. So scroll through a few more. Prius, quite a lot of big cars. C4 Cactus, another Juke. There's a few Jukes. She could have herself a Juke. A Yaris, 120,000 miles on a Yaris, 2015 Yaris. So again, that's a lot of miles on a Yaris. You pay a bit more for a Toyota, especially when they get older. They seem to hold their value better than a lot of other cars. Let's go back, let's go more options, and let's change to fuel type electric and just have a look at the EV options. So it seems like, yes, for £4,000 with a reversing camera, around 50 to 70,000 miles on the clock, 2015 sort of age, she can get herself a petrol car, safe in the knowledge that she can go anywhere she wants. It's easy with a petrol car making the purchase. You don't have to pick the right one. See, I've got an electric car that is the right one for me. I can go anywhere I want. I'm not restricted long distance. But the earlier, lower cost EVs may restrict you significantly, and that's the problem when it comes to buying your first car or buying a cheap EV. If it's a cheap EV runaround just around town, for instance, if my wife was replacing her car, the Suzuki Swift we have, with an EV, then one of those Zoes would be perfect, because she's not doing more than 50 miles around town any given day. It'd be much below that, probably about 20 miles. And then if we do need to go somewhere long, she won't be going on her own, she'll be going with me, and we'll just take this car because it's perfect. We can do trips into Europe and whatever, it's easy, no problem, with the right car or with the right EV. So that would be perfect for her or for us as a couple, having that as a second car. But for my daughter, it will be her car, her only car, her main car, and so I think you kind of need a little bit more. So let's sort these EVs into low to high. So yeah, there's that Zoe that we saw at 4,000, another Zoe at 4,000, that's battery owned, which is better. Battery lease again, 4,000, 4,000, these are all 22s, I think, were they all? Yeah, these are all 22 kilowatt hour batteries. There's a 30, that's a Leaf. Now Leaf is an option. Leaf does have, via CHAdeMO, the faster charging. So if we tap on that one and go and have a look, we can see 150 miles range, so similar to the Zoe, a little bit more. And then the charging on the Rapids, it suggests a full charge up to 80% in 30 minutes. So that's quite reasonable. A top-up charge of 30 miles in 7 minutes. Now that's requiring you to find the CHAdeMO connector, so again, you're not able to go to every charge point. There are some charge points around the UK, or hubs of charge points, where you get loads of CCS2 and you just don't have a CHAdeMO connector. So that could be a bit restrictive. But the actual speed is quite reasonable. But you're still limited probably to once you get onto the motorway, in less than ideal conditions, I can't see you getting more than 100 miles per stop. So that's 2 hours, charging every 2 hours. It's not too bad, but you're going to be, I think, charging for 30 minutes every 2 hours. See, where I can drive in this car for 4 hours and then stop for 20 minutes, looks like in that car you would be driving for 2 hours and stopping for half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, it's quite different. That's stopping twice as often and for twice as long potentially, which is not as good, is it, really? And the Leaf was ruled out anyway because, like most people, she thinks the Leaf looks hideous. I mean, so for some people they don't care what the car looks like, but certainly for me it was the same as well. I don't want a hideous looking car. I mean, it's maybe not top of the list, and it's not something you can put into the search fields of Auto Trader. You can't like tick a box saying pretty car only or hideous cars allowed or whatever. You can't do that. It'd be nice if you could. But obviously that's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? That's sort of how you think something looks. Some people like the look of one car, don't like the look of another. Leaf, Leaf, Zoe, Zoe, Leaf, Leaf, Zoe. That's what you get, it seems. There's some ads, of course. So there you go, 73 kilowatt hour ZS, MG ZS. That would be fantastic in terms of distance. But that's an ad popped in here at 13,500. That's well out of her price range. Again, below the 500e at 10,000. That MG4, that Leaf at 11,000. All of those are ads that have been slotted in by Auto Trader to try and get you to spend a bit more. Zoe there, 98% SOH, state of health of the battery, great. 50,000, 2015, it's all the same. But we've still got that same problem of not being able to charge rapidly on a long journey if that's what you're doing. So it looks like you might be able to, if you go for a Leaf and you are willing to find the CHAdeMO connectors and you're willing to accept the ugly look, the Renault Zoes, you've got to be quite a lot more expensive before you get the rapid charge on the Renault Zoe, and that's a bit restrictive. in terms of cost. So there we go. Let me just turn that back off again so it doesn't record everything. That's what I wanted to talk about really. So today is Monday. Wednesday we're going to go looking at cars and we'll see what we can find. But in my mind, even though I like EVs, I like the concept, it's great. I really like this EV, my Kia EV6. It's fantastic, drives brilliantly, not restrictive at all on family trips, on long journeys, on business trips. Perfect, no problem. I can stop at kind of 4 hours, recharge for 20 minutes, off I go again, no problem. That's great. Charge at home, brilliant. But even though I'm very pro EVs for all of my experiences, I don't think I will be advising my daughter to buy one, because it doesn't look right now at this point in time that it's going to be suitable. Down the line, I'm sure, once she and her husband, if she gets married or whatever, or partner, once she gets settled with a home, potentially with a driveway and somewhere to charge, or the infrastructure that the council put out onto the streets means she can charge at her place where she parks, then she may go, right, this is the time for me to switch to an EV. By that point, maybe 5-10 years down the line, then the bigger battery, faster charging EVs will have trickled down the chain and will become those used ones that she'll be looking for. And maybe she'll be looking for a bigger car as well. All of those things probably, I imagine, will all line up, and she'll probably then go for an EV. She's fairly pro EV. But right now, as we stand, I just don't think it will pass. I just don't think it's a good idea, and that's why I'm not going to encourage that. So that's all I wanted to bring this time. It's quite a long video actually, I've talked for quite a long time. Hopefully it was all interesting, hopefully I've not waffled too much. I'm sure you will have an opinion as well. Please do. Please put that opinion into the comments. Please say whether you agree or disagree with me. Please go ahead and like the video if you liked it. And of course, if you enjoy what I'm doing, then subscribe to the channel. That way you will help my channel become more popular, which is good. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed it, and I will speak to you next time.